Spark Books here. Today, I'm going to explain the book, Nobody Wants to Read Your Sh*t by Stephen Pressfield. Take care, enjoy the book, and have a nice day. Nobody Wants to Read Your Sh*t 2016 is a guide to the ins and out of writing. Whether it's a book, a screenplay, or advertising material, making a living writing isn't an easy thing to do, especially since the last thing a busy person wants to do is read some poorly written manuscript. But with these helpful tools and the insight of a 30-year veteran of the industry, you can be on your way to writing the kind of captivating work that people love to read. Key idea number 1. Your crap won't be read unless it's great. After months or years of work, you may be apprehensive and eager about how readers will react to your novel or screenplay. You can write about turtle-dove migration patterns, but to attract readers, you need to add romance, adventure, or tragedy. First, don't get excited. Most people won't read your writing. The author makes commercials, but no one watches them. People dodge advertising whenever possible. Since teachers and other students read our writing in school, we think there is an audience for it. People are busy. Most parents don't read their kids' Harry Potter fan fiction or blog posts. This is because most writing is bad. If you're a young author hoping for your big break, this doesn't mean everything is lost, it just means your writing must be outstanding. You may assume excellent writing involves creative phrasing or high-minded literature, but it doesn't. Clear and simple writing will grab and hold readers' attention. Don't spend 100 pages explaining a character's existential crisis over breakfast. Make your work exciting, terrifying, gorgeous, or enjoyable. You want your writing to be irresistible. Most people struggle with writing for others. Instead of thinking on what interests you, consider your readers. You can write about turtle-dove migration patterns, but to attract readers, you need to add romance, adventure, or tragedy. Key idea number 2. Apprenticeships can help writers succeed. How will my writing become a bestseller or blockbuster if nobody has time to read? Pressfield may go solo with this knowledge. As the Spark show, there was still plenty to learn. Nobody said it would be easy. Writing is hard, and it takes time to become successful. The author moved to Hollywood in the 1980s to become a screenwriter. He wrote 9 scripts in 5 years, each taking 6 months. Producers rejected every script, so something had to change. Apprenticeships are a great way to break into writing. After 5 years of stagnation, Pressfield's agent suggested he work with Stanley, an accomplished screenwriter with 2 films. Not a dream job. Stanley was always 3 to 5 hours late to their writing sessions. Pressfield soon realized that he would do the hard work so Stanley could come in, make a few great modifications, and claim it as his own. Although this seems unfair, Stanley knew how to write a good script and had many Hollywood contacts that may help the author. A writer may have to apprentice before learning the trade. Pressfield learned how to write and sell scripts, while Stanley got all the credit. Pressfield may go solo with this knowledge. As the Spark show, there was still plenty to learn. Key idea number 3. Advertising and writing require concepts. You don't have to watch much TV to witness a horrible commercial that makes you think, no one's going to purchase that. The advertisement frequently has weak writing and a bad slogan. Agamemnon, the Greek king, insulted Achilles, a fierce combatant. Achilles left the war, and the Greeks lost. Achilles returned to fight and saved the day. As you can see, a clever theme can turn Greek history into a gripping story. Great advertising converts a boring product into something spectacular. Consider what might surprise, intrigue, or excite the audience to create a great idea. Avis Rent-A Automobile has always battled to compete with Hertz, the world's largest car rental company. With this competition in mind, Avis created a terrific ad campaign that made being second best an advantage. Avis warned customers that being second meant they had to work twice as hard to give customers the greatest service. Thus, Avis will provide a better service than Hertz, which is coasting. Advertising, literature, and good storytelling all need a solid premise. Even Homer's Iliad contains a brilliant idea. The Iliad recounts the 10-year Trojan War. Homer's complete battle account would have been tiring and tedious. Homer's idea was to focus on a few days of the fight and Achilles' rage. Agamemnon, the Greek king, insulted Achilles, a fierce combatant. Achilles left the war, and the Greeks lost. Achilles returned to fight and saved the day. As you can see, a clever theme can turn Greek history into a gripping story. Key idea number 4. Ads and stories start with an issue or topic. You may feel like a tortured artist with many issues. Problems create conflict and resolution, which is what makes a good story. Breaking Bad has many fantastic storylines, but writing them is hard. The show's screenwriters could always return to transformation to get unstuck. Advertising involves problem solving. Every commercial writer asks, why is this thing not selling? A restroom mat that turns red when wet may be bad. The bested campaign won't help here. For many other items, identifying the problem leads to the solution. Let's look at 7-Up and Burger King, which compete with Coca-Cola and McDonald's. The Uncola catchphrase, created by 7-Up's marketing team in 1967, differentiated it from Coca-Cola. This manner, it wasn't the poorer drink but something else. There's no cola like the Uncola, its slogan proclaimed. Sales skyrocketed. After recognizing the problem, the theme is the next step in writing fiction. The theme lets you get to the heart of your story: greed, retribution, envy, or survival. Transformation ruled Breaking Bad. The first episode introduces Walter White, a chemistry teacher with terminal cancer. White becomes a methamphetamine cook to support his family when he dies. Breaking Bad has many fantastic storylines, but writing them is hard. The show's screenwriters could always return to transformation to get unstuck. Key idea number 5. Finding your voice requires reading and writing, but excellent writing requires maturity. You're reading these sparks because you want to write, but don't think you're good enough. However, like any other skill, writing improves with practice. Reading improves authorial voice. Visit your local library and read the classics that inspire your writing. When the author got serious about writing and creating a distinct authorial voice, he went to his local library and read the classics he'd neglected, such Tolstoy's War and Peace, Flaubert's Madame Bovary, and Stendhal's The Red and the Black. Writing more letters to pals will help you sound more genuine. We avoid pretentious vocabulary and style when talking to friends. Some friends may adore your emails, but hate reading your novel drafts. Instead of fighting that fake voice, focus on your letter's real voice. Be patient, as true wisdom and authenticity come with age. The author struggled for years with his writing's artificiality. His writing improved with maturity. The author's early writing was a self-centered selfie. However, he had not lived much. Young authors fall into this trap. They eventually encounter life's tragedies, broken hearts, and misery. Real writing and true wisdom begin here. Key idea number 6. Except for epics, most stories have 3 acts. You've probably observed that most movies have a similar plot, because a decent structure can make a movie's story satisfying. We'll examine how to employ a typical 3-act structure in the next blink. The 3-act format, which condenses and divides a tale into 3 parts, keeps audiences engaged in most movies. The first act hooks and engages the audience, the second creates tension and conflict, and the third resolves the conflict with a showdown. A stand-up comedian's joke or a product's marketing tale can fit within this pattern. Shakespeare followed this recipe, so it's not a gimmick. Romeo and Juliet, which comprises 5 acts, can be split into 3 parts. The first introduces the characters and scene and leads up to their first meeting. The second adds tensions and challenges from their opposing families, and the third builds to their terrible end. Most rules have exceptions, especially for big, epic stories. Lawrence of Arabia is legendary for many things, notably it's over for our runtime. David Lean, the film's director, believed epics were best told in 8 to 12 parts. Each segment can be its own movie in this structure. Each should prepare the audience for the next since they are all part of a sequential story. This creates an epic tale. Consider this when writing a 400-page book or a 4-hour movie. We'll examine how to employ a typical 3-act structure in the next blink. Key idea number 7. The first act hooks viewers, the second act introduces the villain, and the third act's climaxes. Star Wars transported fans to another universe, leaving them in awe. The first act of your novel should capture readers and transport them to another realm. While hooking your audience, start your story's plot. Let's see how Silver Linings Playbook did this. The first act introduces our hero, Pat Solitano, and his psychological troubles and preoccupation with reuniting with his ex-wife. Pat meets Tiffany, a charming but unstable woman, at a dinner party. The story begins when Pat and Tiffany meet, and the audience is intrigued. We know these two will fall in love, but how Pat can overcome his infatuation with his first wife is unknown. In the second act, emphasize the villain. After presenting the hero in the first act, you can create a clear conflict by introducing the villain and letting them win for a moment. The Joker dominates the second act of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Once Batman is re-established, other villains may be a cyclone, an economic catastrophe, or the hero's own demons. The second act should set up the third act and story's climax. Bridget Jones's diary revealed crucial information. Bridget Jones, the protagonist, discovers that Mark Darcy, her love interest, isn't in love with another woman, only to find nasty comments against him in her diary. Can love win? Key idea number 8. Complex characters and meaningful subjects draw great actors. If you want George Clooney and Jennifer Lawrence to feature in your movie, you should write something they'll appreciate, right? Create memorable personalities to do this. Your film's male hero is Tom Hanks. Remember that this was the man who played the lead in Forrest Gump, Sully, and Philadelphia, movies with complex characters that allowed him to provide unforgettable performances. In Something's Gotta Give, Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson played complex, well-rounded characters that showcase their talents. If you don't make anything great, a great performer won't bother. If it doesn't meet these high criteria, you need to improve. Finding a significant concept that supports a memorable, larger-than-life performance is key to crafting outstanding characters. If you want an award-winning and unforgettable film, dig deep. Out of Africa won 7 Oscars, including Best Picture. Award-winning Meryl Streep played Karen von Blixen. The film's complicated themes of how relationships and dreams are ephemeral attracted her. Streep plays a passionate, yet uncommitted woman who aspires to construct a wonderful African school, but fails. It was appropriate for a great actor with its profound ideas and depth. Key idea number 9. Nonfiction and fiction share a strong theme and basic rules. Your book on turtle dove migration doesn't need to be as exciting as the current Game of Thrones novel. Nonfiction is as interesting as fiction, and the same rules apply. The author's factual books dealt with topics that didn't lend themselves to dramatic hero versus villain storylines. The War of Art discusses creative writing. He viewed it as if it had evil villains and vehicle chases. If your thesis on 19th century opera seems boring, try these tips. Nonfiction, like fiction and screenplays, needs a strong theme to be captivating and comprehensible. Write a biography of your great-great-grandmother Rosie. She was an early American immigrant who traveled the country in a covered wagon while pregnant, confronted dangerous Native Americans, and had 11 children and 3 husbands before her death. If you merely jump from event to event, this story could get boring. Instead, focus on a theme. You may focus on the American dream and the struggle for a better life. This motif would connect every occurrence in her story, whether she was stuck in a wagon or lost a child or spouse. No more excuses for dull manuscripts, screenplays, or ads. After learning what to look for, start writing a wonderful story. Good stories don't need fancy language. Instead, it's about writing a dramatic, well-structured novel with a profound theme and complex characters that represent it. By working hard and reading a lot, you can employ organized narratives to write something thrilling, dramatic, or romantic.
To view more content like this, subscribe. Don't forget to like and turn on notifications. The channel really benefits from it. I appreciate you being here.